So I'm going to tell y'all one thing that really grinds my gears. It's when somebody asks for something. They'll ask you a price, and you tell them the price, and then this isn't your first time of telling them said price. And then they come back and say, okay, I need to order. I said, okay. And they say, how much is it going to be again? And you tell them the price again. And they say, oh, well, they said it was going to be such and such. And then you say, oh, I don't know what they said, but I said it's going to be this price. Yeah, that was my morning so far. But anyways, how y'all doing today? Oh, God, yesterday was a day. So let me tell y'all what happened. We had my son. So there was, our household has weeks that you do dishes. My son had to work the other night, and he didn't get off work until 10:30, 11:30. Between 10:30 and 11:30. I'll say that's a good time, right? And in the midst of that, the kitchen was a disaster. I know when I left the house at 3-ish, there was only the breakfast dishes in the sink. I know that because I looked. When I came home, which was after 9:30, it was a disaster, right? A pile of dishes in the sink. So when he gets home, he goes straight to bed. He wakes up, well, we wake him up several times because, hey, what you're not gonna do is leave that kitchen a hot mess like that, right? I know you was tired. Understand that it was a lot of dishes, but besides the point, you gotta clean the kitchen up, right? So he does get up and he washes the dishes. That's all he does is just wash the dishes. And he leaves them in the sink. So Robert sends him a text message and says, hey, this is not acceptable. If you're not going to do your chores, then don't ask me for nothing. Understandable. My son texts back and says, I don't. What? You don't? Mind you, that day before, you needed a ride home from work. Mr. I don't, right? So, I don't ask for nothing. I don't really much need anything, and da-da-da-da-da, and he's doubling down, and just like, well, first of all, you're disrespectful. Very. And that right there is the one thing that we're not going to accept, is disrespect at all. So we go through about a 10-minute text war. And finally I said, you know what? I'm rereading and I'm rereading and I'm rereading. And as I'm rereading, I'm slowing down, but then I'm getting like the audacity, right? But then I'm slowing down, but then it's like the audacity. So I read his messages and then I read them again. And then finally, I understand what he's saying, right? And I'm like, you know what? This is not going to be solved through a text message. We need to do something outside of this text message, because this right here, this ain't working. So what I did was I waited until he got home. And y'all, when I say I ran through scenario after scenario after scenario, I had conversation after conversation after conversation with myself. Because it's like, I kind of knew where he was going with it. Like, I knew what he meant. His delivery was off. But then when he doubled down and was like, I don't ask y'all for anything, it's immediately like, what? But then you had to look at the whole picture, right? And I had to take a step back, take those emotions out of it, because yes, the disrespect is here, right? We're going to handle that. But we want to get to the root of why you're thinking like this, why your thought process is here. This is what we need to understand. So, and a lot of parents, we don't care about where their thought process is. It's just not, that's just not right, and you're not going to do it. I'm not that parent anymore, right? So I want you to understand, because ultimately I'm raising you to become an adult. And you're not going to be a kid forever. I don't want to rule in fear. I want you to have your own mind. I want you to be able to think for yourself. But being a respectful person, not being disrespectful, we're going to handle the disrespect part. So we get back, so Caden gets home, right? And when he's home, he walks in. I said, I need you to sit down, and we need to have a conversation. We need to talk about what happened, you know? So that conversation goes a little like, Mom, I just don't understand why you guys always come down on me, and this and blase this, and I do this, and I am doing this, but when the moment I say something, you say it's my ego. So I let him get all of his stuff out. And then I said, well, Caden, look, I heard you. I hear you. I understand. But first, let me ask you this. We'll tackle this a little at a time. The dishes were not done, right? They were washed. They were not done. Regardless of the fact that you got home late, you were tired, this and this, that and that, regardless of any of that, the dishes were not done completely to the standards that are set before you, right? He says, yeah. I said, okay. Now, what Robert said to you, the message that was sent to you, that was a statement. So I reread the message to him. I said, you see that? I said, where and there did you see Robert ask you a question? So you did. I said, okay, so why did you answer with a statement? Why did you answer? It wasn't a conversation. He made a statement. And that was it. And it was, if you can't do your chores, don't ask for anything. And instead, you came back with, I don't. Now, do you see where the disrespect comes in? He still didn't see it. I said, okay. All right. Well, let's go here. Did you complete your task that you were supposed to complete? He says, no. I said, okay. So we are now entitled to say, hey, because you're not doing what we ask you to do, we're not going to do what you ask us to do. Is that fair? Well, yeah. All right, so then why did you say you don't? When in fact, you do. Didn't you just need a ride home from work? He says, but Mom, you're my parents. You're supposed, See, that's the root of it. See, you want to be treated like an adult in some instincts, but then in some instincts, you still say, but you're my parents. You're supposed to know. No, it's not how that works. So you got to pick and choose your side. He thought about it. Oh, I get it. It's okay. Problem solved. So there was some more gist in there, but yeah, that was the problem solved. That's more so about us parents learning and understanding it's okay to